level. See me eye to eye. Stand up like a man. Even from the other side. On the level.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt. Joining us this week is the super talented Mr. Josh Pierce.
Hey, guys.
I'm pretty excited to talk today. We've, haven't really had a chance to hang out and talk much. We see each other at events and things here and there, and it's like, we got to do a show, and we just haven't gotten to it, and so... I'm pretty excited to do that. We don't have much other stuff as far as headlines or anything else today, but what I would like to say is we'd like to thank our sponsor, Otoy. They're the makers of Octane Render, the Render Network. You know who they are. Good old Otoy. We really love the fact that they are our universal sponsor, and they sponsor so many of our events. They're great. They're great friends of ours. We got some great stuff coming up with them as well the rest of the year. So... make sure that you just go to their site or go to their Twitter or go to wherever they are and say thank you for sponsoring the Mograph podcast because you enjoy it. Well, at least I hope you enjoy it because with Otoy you can render things quickly and you can also put them on the Render Network and render them quickly there. Just go to otoy.com. All right. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's talk about all the things.
Love Otoy.
Yes.
Big fan.
Yes, me too. Me too. Use them every day.
Every day.
Let's talk about you. Let's talk about your career. We hang out and we go to events like the Beeple event, which you participated in, and it was a lot of fun. I hope that we do it again. It was definitely something that feels like it could be a yearly thing. So much fun doing that. Again, we hung out. We don't. I personally, I don't know that much about your background. You certainly have an incredible amount of followers online. I've watched some things that you've been on. We've got some shows on Mograph TV that I see you on that replay from time to time. And so give us kind of a rundown of who you are and where you got started and what you're doing now.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor. Like I've always, have looked up to, the people who, have a voice in the Mograph community. And I'm like, man, one day I'm going to be as cool as those guys. Like, and like, and I see, the NABs and the the SIGgraphs and the Camp Mograph, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder if I'm cool enough to go to those things now.
Did you come to one? Did you come last year? Did you come
to camp?
To camp? I can't remember.
Yeah, you were at camp last year, right?
Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. See, we didn't even get to talk there.
Yeah, there's so many people. I connected with I really connected with like Byron. And hung out with David a lot, and Ryan I've known for a little while.
Yeah.
Talbot, and we had a good time. We did a lot of hikes. I met a lot of random people, and did some yoga, and it was epic. I had so much fun, and I really want to come to Chicago. We're trying to make it happen. We're trying to figure out a way to make it happen. Might be just like a day or two. I don't know. We'll see. But I had a lot of fun at camp. It was cool to see you guys at the death match, the digital art death match. That was epic. I had so much fun there. I have to say that I've never felt adrenaline like that when I sat down in the machine to make my piece. I was like, what is it? like my whole body was like. I was like, okay, let's calm down. Like,
That's hilarious.
Even in rehearsals, just sitting there and practicing, just being a guinea pig for the whole thing, I was just like nervous, and I can't imagine participating in the actual event,
Yeah,
and they did their best to like really like encourage that effect, with like the lights and the sound.
Yeah. We tried to bring as much pressure as possible at that show. Yes.
Right.
And I was like, wow, and so to see, the finalists Mello and Brockett, duke it out at the end. Oh, man, it was so epic. And I've stayed in touch with Josh, other Josh, and he's such a cool guy. And to have all that pressure while you're sitting there in this chamber of madness, and to be able to turn out art piece after art piece, 4 of them, I think it was 4 total, that were all compelling and well executed. It's that takes a lot of talent and a lot of what's the word, focus,
for sure.
Perseverance. Like, how do you push everything out like that? I mean,
I started following Josh after the death match, and like he definitely has a very specific style that came through, that you can see from the death match pieces that he did as well.
Sure, I think all of us, we have our own, we've got our own tricks, we've got our own looks. I think that's key to being an artist. That's one of the things I've discovered, is finding your own voice. Even if you're even if you're doing client work, you can bring your own voice to whatever work that you're doing, and that's ultimately how you move, I think, from like a production artist to someone that a client is going to seek for your specific eye, so that's that's something I'm trying to encourage with my personal work, so that people can kind of see, like, I have a specific voice that I want to share.
Yeah, I will say, if there's any artist, when it comes to artists and their specific style, I have always said that I've enjoyed your work because I know it's a Josh Pierce piece, almost immediately. When I know when NFTs and Nifty Gateway were like really popular and stuff, I could always recognize your work almost immediately, and I may have purchased 1 or 2 of your pieces back in the day.
Thank you.
Yeah. But so you did. I'm curious if, like, so I know you were really popular in the NFT space. Were you able to, after the collapse of NFTs, I guess, or are you continuing some of that work or doing client work, or what's your day-to-day look like?
So right now, like, so the NFT thing was awesome. It was really, really cool. I think ultimately, bringing digital art into, the traditional art space, and allowing this technology to be used by people who want to collect work, creating like a uniquely ownable token. All of that stuff is super valuable, and I had some success. Some of it was luck, and some of it was right place, right time, and and some of it was just all the work I put in over the years. And, I don't discount that either. But I was able to sell a piece at Sotheby's, which was like pretty rad.
That's awesome.
I got to go to France, and Ryan was there with me. We were in the same show, and we did we did this little show there, and that piece sold. So that was awesome, and that was just like a highlight of a career, like a career highlight. And so now, I did a collection earlier this year. It did actually sell out. That was Nifty Gateway.
That's good.
Nice. So it was a set of 3 looping animated pieces that I was pretty proud of. So that was cool. And so that
was that one also on Nifty Gateway?
Yeah, that was a Nifty Gateway. Drop. It was three pieces. One of them was a bidder's edition, so it was really only two pieces that we bid on. Edition of 5, edition of 10, edition of 20, I think. Cool. Right. That was in February. It was really nice little pieces, and people got to collect some art. And I think doing a handful of releases, maybe one or two in a year's time is the right the right volume right now for me, because I still have people out there wanting to collect just strictly from a collector's standpoint. I think people love art and they want to own it, and it's a digital world that we live in, and collecting art is just something that people want to do. So it's a human instinct, I've heard, like this collection idea, and it is. I collect all kinds of things, more so in the past. I used to love baseball cards and that kind of stuff, and CDs.
Yeah, I mean, NFTs, it may have had this, really, really high peak and come back down a little bit, but it definitely legitimized digital art, in art, which is great. And there are some questions here too. Mr. Keyframe says, do you think the NFT market is currently in a bear market, or is it dead completely? Personally, I don't feel like it's dead completely. Do you? I mean, you're selling, right?
Oh, no, I don't think it's dead. I don't think it's dead. I think that the speculation has gone away.
Yes. Thank goodness.
Which is a good thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, anytime you're buying something, with the expectation that it's going to 10x in a week, that's not sustainable.
Right.
And that's never, that's never been a model for how collecting art and art, and art collectors work. You buy something, and then years later you may sell it. But that's the way that art has traditionally been collected.
Yeah. I'm happy to hear you say that, because when the entire NFT thing started and stuff, I loved the idea of being able to own my friends' artwork, and it was something so much more than a print, it was really cool to be able to do that. And then yes, the speculative part of the market, kind of got everyone excited for it, but it's exciting to see it back to where it was kind of at the beginning, where it's kind of this smaller, more niche thing in a way, but those who are paying attention to it can still, either make money with it or still collect,
It also made me appreciate digital art in other formats too. When I had my Beeple piece and it was sitting here on the desk or whatever, and then I sold it, I was like, man, I enjoyed having that piece here.
Yeah.
I built a patio with the money, but I want the piece, and it's like, I want to load pieces like that. Also, even I forget the name of the website where you can, get the prints on the metal, kind of the metal. That's where Ryan Talbot has his art. My bedroom has Ryan Talbot art hanging in it now. That's something else that it did. It's not just scrolling through Instagram anymore. It made me appreciate digital art in other forms as well, which is great.
I think digital art as fine art is a whole new world, especially with what we do, motion designers, because there's always been, I think, digital painters and digital photographers, they've always, I think, presented their work as, fine art in some arenas. But illustrators and, videographers, and especially us, motion graphics people, it's like, how do you get, the fact that Beeple is now who he is like, it makes my heart so big. I'm like, we're at the top, of digital art. It's pretty rad. It's pretty rad.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into this in the first place. That's what I'm interested in. You use Cinema 4D and Octane, as we saw at the event. How did you get into this in the first place, and did you go to school, and what kind of jobs did you start out with?
Yeah, so like when I got a copy of 3D Studio Max when I think I was like 15,
Yeah.
and I had it on my compact Presario.
Man, how could you pay for that at 15?
Wow, literally, that's how I got into the same thing. Hey, look,
It was a copy.
yes. Hey, look at this random software just sitting here. I think I'll try it.
You know, honestly, it barely worked. So
Yeah.
there's that. But I did
It probably still barely works.
I did start exploring. You know, I mean, I had like some digital imaging editing software that came with my digital camera. I took a computer art class when I was a senior in high school, and I pretty much knew that I wanted to study art and programming and that kind of stuff. So I went to school. I went to Rochester Institute of Technology in Western New York. I'm from Philly originally.
Nice.
And
you and
we had
Winbush and EJ.
What's that?
You and Winbush and EJ, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But yeah, Winbush is Pittsburgh, I think.
Never mind, Pittsburgh. I'm thinking
that's
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Is EJ from Pittsburgh?
Sorry. I think he's from Pittsburgh as well.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
I mean, Pittsburgh's
I'm
actually closer to
mixing up
Rochester.
my P cities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 P cities and a P state. So.
Right.
Yeah, so I had this professor there, and he was like, this was 2002. So he was like, we're going to learn this software, Cinema 4D, and you're going to like learn how to do this. And no one was using it. Like, yeah, I mean, he was like, motion graphics, if you want to do motion graphics, it's going to be Cinema 4D. And like, I was like, great, this is cool. And I jumped in and I was like, wow, this is so user friendly. This is so intuitive. You know, you can get in and like I was making animations, like making little character animations, like in the first year of using it. And I was like, this is amazing. And so my first job out of college, I was working in a marketing company, and I made them buy it so that we could do some cinema work. And every job that I went to, I was like, we're buying this software. And they're like, what do you need? You could like take something. Yeah, we gotta buy a cinema. So yeah, and then I went to so I was doing like a little bit of design work, Flash, you know, that kind of stuff. And then I decided that I wanted to just focus on motion graphics. And I went to SCAD. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design for grad school. So I did some grad school down there. I studied broadcast design, and we started using cinema there. And that was great. I really loved SCAD. I really loved that school. A lot of great people, a lot of great artists there. And yeah, so I got out of there, and I moved back to Philly, and then I was doing, you know, I was working for ad agencies and that kind of stuff around there, and found my way to LA in 2011. It started. And I feel like that was when the shift happened, because I had a lot of school and not a lot of real world experience.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting down, like when I got out here, and I was like, I felt really confident. And then I started working in studios, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Like these guys know so much, and it was incredible to learn on the job. I was doing a lot of sports work in the beginning. And yeah, it was really, you know, it was great. I was like, this is great. I'm living in LA, like it's beautiful here, and yeah, I just dove in, and I remember just like consuming all of Video Copilot, Andrew Kramer's content, just like every day.
Yeah.
Like what can you do with a black solid? Like
right.
You can make anything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I was so
2012 was
amazed
like.
at.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just amazed at what he could do and how, how he made layers work together. So yeah, that really amped up my After Effects game a lot.
2011, 2012,
Mhm.
that golden age of Video Copilot, GSG, really starting to get out there. That was just such an amazing time, and back then
Mhm.
there was just not a lot of other stuff. Now it's just there's so much noise, almost.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's just so many things and so many brands and just so much media to consume. And back then it almost felt a little more concentrated. Like there's only one person doing After
Mhm.
Effects, maybe two or three, and doing cinema stuff. That's when Matt and I met,
Yeah,
and it was
you'd see that Video Copilot fly from space
Yeah.
everywhere.
right, right. But it was such a great time for all of that, and Matt and I met around that same time, and it was definitely the same thing. It's like, hey, now we're at this studio, and I'm realizing I don't know anything. Let me put in
Mhm.
my 10,000 hours of logo flies, and start learning the
Yeah.
software. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think learning on the job was the most helpful thing, and I think even today, like always, I try to approach like whatever project I'm working on, whatever piece it is, with like humility and curiosity, like super key. I don't know, as soon as I start to feel like I've got it all figured out, like I know I'm in trouble. And that's true, like of all areas of life, because it's always going to throw you a curveball. You always have to be open to like learning something new and, to improve and to grow and to change and to accept that like, oh, that tool that I used to use is not here anymore and it's not coming back.
right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever
Right.
it is, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing stays the same for that long, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Except Colorama. Colorama will be there until the day we die.
And black solids. We'll always have
Yeah.
black solids. I
We
hope.
will always have black socks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you doing now? Like I the NFT market is slowed down and you're doing less drops a year. So it's like, what are you doing in order to keep yourself busy? Or are you just like, hey, I I made plenty on NFTs. I'm retired now.
Hardly. No, I'm doing client work right now. I do a lot of sports work. I do a
Cool.
lot of work with the NFL.
Okay.
They're a great client. I really love them. I really love the people that I work with, and we get to do so many cool, fun projects. And they kind of just come to me and they hand me stuff, and they're like, "Oh, can you make this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is great." So I'm working with them currently, and I'm working on a meditation course
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
that is going to include art and guided meditation, and that's for a site install. None of it is really public yet, but
Okay.
I'm working on the course, and so it's going to essentially be 10-minute pieces of looping animation,
Wow.
and guided voice meditation. And we're going to do an install, which will be basically an immersive experience room. And that's gonna it's gonna let people come in and do 10 weeks of guided meditation classes, which I'm writing and creating all myself. This is like
Wow.
my other passion, really. Meditation, mindfulness.
And you can see that in a
So-
lot of your work too.
Yeah, thank you.
For sure.
I do try and infuse the work with as much of that spirit as I can. So so we're gonna put together this course. So that's that's taking up a lot of my evenings, and client work during the day, But yeah, I'm busy, and I'm having a lot of fun, and like I know it's all art all the time, and so I'm doing good right now. I have had periods, especially like earlier this year when I felt like I was retired. I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not really doing anything right now.
Yeah,
Living in LA, it's nice because I just go down to the beach and surf and do
nice.
whatever.
Man, I'm jealous of your life.
Oh,
Have you noticed any slowdown? I feel like it's you get a different answer from everybody about like Mr. Keyframes is saying here in the chat, the slow session. Have you felt that at all, or are you full force still?
no, absolutely. I felt a big time slowdown over the last year, and then a lot of projects came up at once, and I had to start saying no. But at first, I think probably for me personally, from January to this point of the year, from January probably through end of May, it was pretty slow. Like there was really not much happening. But I think that I don't know. I guess it turned around, and then because then I all of a sudden got a couple of different jobs come through, and I had to, like I said, turn at least one of them down.
Feel free to send some of that work my way.
Okay.
We'll chat later.
I feel like
Yeah,
a lot of
alright.
people get we get different answers from different people, and I think because people do go through those phases of I don't have any
Yeah.
work, or I have too much work, and then you combine that with the economy, and you combine that with the fact that sometimes these economic upturns and downturns have a delay effect, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
the economy could be coming back, as on paper it looks like it is, and then you don't see that until 6 months to a year later. So
Yeah.
it's very
I'm
hard
also
to gauge.
curious of how much work that we do is directly impacted by, say, like Hollywood and,
Right.
movies being made and stuff like that. Because right now, the production rates have gone down significantly in almost like a corporate FU to the writer's strike and stuff like that.
Everything's
so it's
delayed.
like, right. And so like they're not doing so much work. So like the jobs that maybe we might have taken are actually being taken by some of the more talented people who would be working on these Hollywood movies, and it's kind of a trickle down effect from us,
Yeah.
from that. So
Yeah,
I don't
think
know.
it radiates out. Like there's definitely like a collateral damage effect.
Yeah.
Where because where does this money come from? Like okay, well somebody makes a movie and somebody's doing this, and then they want to invest in that, and then I don't know. I don't know where the magic money comes from. I just get paid. So it comes from somewhere. But I do think like we haven't touched on AI, but like I think that like there was a moment, right, maybe a year ago, when it felt like we were all cooked,
Yeah.
and I think this is just a theory. I have no evidence to back this up. But I think
we're all about speculation here. Let's
this
go
is
for it.
very
I love
wild.
theories. Yeah.
I think that I do think that companies and just people who want art created, right? We're starting to realize like, hey, like let's we have this new AI technology, like let's see what it can do. And they tried it out and they were like, wait, this is not gonna work. This is not gonna work. This is not gonna work for what we need. We have to hire artists again. So we have to go back to hiring artists. And I think that really did happen. Because I saw a few articles, especially one about a matte painter. I don't know if you read that little blurb. Someone basically was creating a production, and rather than hiring a team of matte painters, they hired a team of prompters.
Oh,
and
boy.
they basically and I don't even know if this is true. This is just something that I read. But the prompters like, they at first it was like, oh, this is really cool, the work is really nice, and then they're like, oh, can you change this and change that? And like every round of edits, every round, of changes that the client wanted, like it got worse. Like they can't, they couldn't dress the notes properly. They couldn't control their outputs like at nearly what was acceptable.
Ask Midjourney to move something to the left an inch and see what happens.
Yep.
You can't do it. You can't do it. And like it kind of got me thinking like how it works really is like, AI will get you from 0 to 80% and then stop,
Yeah.
But it'll get you there in 5 minutes. Like it takes me like a week to get from 0 to 80%, and it'll take me another week to get from 80% to 100,
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
AI will get you 80% in 1 minute, but it can never get you to the finish line.
Yeah.
Very,
I love
very
that.
good point.
I saw this video where someone was talking about how, AI works and a way to think about it. And, I may totally get this wrong, but it's like you give AI a prompt and it spits out something immediately, right? But then if something's wrong, in order to program what not to do, you have to build in these variables, and then the amount of time that it takes to actually think about that specific thing is exponentially higher because it's got to go through all these routines in order to figure out, am I doing the thing that I'm not supposed to do? And so it's like, it's really good at just like spitting out, something. But once it actually has to physically think about it, or, it's like it can't really do that because there's so much more involved in the way that a human mind thinks,
Right. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And it's never going to evolve either.
Yeah.
You're never going to see new ideas,
Yeah, I read that they estimate that AI will be out of data to consume like within a year or two.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Like it will have consumed all of the human data.
The only thing that can consume as much data as we're putting out is a computer, and it can't do anything with it.
Right.
Right. And it won't evolve.
It's the ultimate Giga Chad.
Right. like when it can't do anything beyond what we're already doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's kind of a fascinating idea, because it can't really it can't really create anything new. It could synthesize parts together, but it can't create new ideas.
Yeah,
I think
maybe someday then we're really screwed. But
I think
I
I think the and this is just me. I think since we're on like the hypothetical subject and stuff like that, I think the biggest limitation to AI right now is actually humans and the amount of energy and everything that we can produce, because we're limited by the resources that we have, in order to get AI to a specific point. It's like we're already killing our world as it is right now, like, okay, we're going to do more and more damage to it just to get a computer a little bit smarter. To do what? To take our job? Okay, sure. Yeah. Here, use my computer, use my energy. Let me hook up some solar panels to my roof so that the AI can be smarter.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
It's sort of like, the cultural paradox of technology.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Industrial Revolution, all of these things there. It was like, we think it's going to make our lives better and it makes our world worse,
Yeah.
And there's hidden consequences with everything. And there's, there's just a, there's a short-sightedness to it. And, there's a lot of writing and a lot of thought around, restorative technologies and like regenerative agriculture and, like how do we harmonize with the ecosystem in ways that doesn't send us back to the Stone Age, because I don't
Yeah.
think that's the future of humans either. I think there's there's what is it, solar punk? That's what that's
Solar punk.
That's where we
Solar
need to
punk.
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You think about it, it is kind of like automobile manufacturing or something. We could come up with the machines to make the automobiles faster, like to create them and build them faster, but those machines aren't going to find a new way to build a different kind of car unless we program them to make the new kind of car.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can teach a computer to communicate in a way that it sounds like a human, right? And we can teach a computer to create art in a way that looks like it was made by a human.
Yeah.
But I don't think that makes it creative or original.
And that's the thing too with things like ChatGPT. It's so interesting to hear how it really works, because it's not like the AI is thinking. The AI is taking a group of words and figuring out a way to spit out another group of words that makes sense back to you. It doesn't even know what it's doing. You know, it's so weird to think about it that way. The algorithm is just figuring out, oh, you're putting this in, and this is the type of thing that needs to come out. And the same thing applies to art too, you know? It's so odd, you know? And you can kind of see it when you see like Midjourney creating, right? When you see the stages happen and you see that first blurry image come up, and you're like, ooh, it's like you can see it's supposed to look like this blob of something, and then it's blobbing to something more sharper. Sharper.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, because I've always thought showing that initial like blobbiness, you know, it's like, does it just randomly spit out colors or whatever, you know, or like does it take 500 of these images and merge them all as like one block of color, and then it's like, okay, now let's refine.
Well, and it adds noise.
Let's take this.
Noise,
right.
That's
what I.
Yeah.
Yeah. My understanding of it is that it starts with just noise. You know, it's like Gaussian noise, and then it modifies it, you know, and it says like, is A look more like the image I'm trying to create, or does B look more like the image I'm trying to create? And then it does that millions of times.
And then that noise,
but it starts
is
from
seed.
noise. Right.
Yeah. So interesting. Oh, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, you know.
Are you incorporating any AI stuff into the work that you do? Or are you using any AI software or anything like that currently, Josh?
Pretty minimally. I do. I like to use Midjourney. It's kind of a fun tool to.
I agree.
Ideate, you know.
Exactly.
Like I will like put in, like I was working on a project a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, give me rather than basically looking for reference, I'll just type in something and it will spit out, you know, like, okay, 3D render of like guy, you know, doing X, Y, and Z. And like, it'll create this like, you know, perfect reference, you know, with perfect lighting. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, and I can see how I want to frame this shot. I can see how I want to do the lighting. That I've found really helpful. And I do use it once in a while in my pieces. I'll take like, so I'll render out a scene with a person in it, right? And then I'll turn that light, you know, I'll turn that model off in the final render, and then I'll Photoshop in, you know, a more detailed person, rather than using a really detailed model. Just to get some different looks and like, you know, I'm not great at character work and you know, posing and marvelous designer and all the stuff that people do. So I would in the past occasionally use, you know, stock photos of people, but now I just grab, you know, I just generate it in Midjourney and cut it out.
Nice. Okay.
And so there's a few.
Does it match your lighting pretty well, or do you have to like go through and Photoshop it again, to like match the rim lights and stuff like that?
Yeah, mostly. It does. I mean, it's like an 80% silhouette. So
yeah,
most of the stuff is not really super highly detailed. And if it was, I probably wouldn't be as comfortable with it. But because it's basically a silhouette, with a little bit of, suggestion of a shirt or a hoodie or, I feel like it's okay to put it in there.
Yeah. It's a tool.
I was showing Matt some stuff that I did because I kind of do the same thing, and it just, to me, it blank canvas syndrome. You got that cube in there, and then what? And in the past,
that's the problem. You got to delete the cube first.
Oh, you got to delete the cube. Oh, wait, I'm not in Blender, so the workflow for me has been a lot better, and I've said this before. It's the ultimate brainstorm having Midjourney, and I showed Matt some stuff I worked on earlier this week, and it's like, okay, I have this idea in my head, and I don't exactly know how to describe it or how to go about really thinking this through or whatever it is. And I love the describe feature in Midjourney because it's a great starting point, because it figures out all the things like, do this depth of field and whatever. So I'll find something that I like that's similar, and I'll say, I want this, but I want it with candy canes and cranberries for Christmas, right? But it's not this, but it's that. And I'll say, well, describe the thing that I'm referencing first that I would have originally had in my boards back in the day as a reference. And I would have had to go to the client and describe it and say, well, imagine this, but plus peppermints and whatever. That's hard for them to see in their head. So when I ask Midjourney to describe something and I get the reference back, I say, okay, now make it. And I'm like, okay. And I'll take the prompt, the reverse prompt that it does, and then say, okay, add peppermints to this, add cranberries to this, make this for Christmas. And I've already got, looks like it's octane with this depth of field and this lens, and it figures all that out. And then I'm like, oh, that's it. That's what I had in my head. And then from there, that's easy to build because I'm a good technical designer rather than, a designer. And I'm very good at taking someone else's concept and making it, as opposed to the other way around personally. So for me, that has just been magical, and I feel like it's helped me so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always used references in my art. I always referenced a lot of, like nature photography. A lot of photography and a lot of like landscape painting, especially in composition and lighting and color and. So to have more tools to create more unique references, it sparks ideas. I don't love like letting it have too much input,
Sure.
Right.
But just as a thing, often what I'll do with references, and this is maybe just part of my creative process, is I'll take a reference that I really, really like. So there's like an image that I'm like, this is awesome, and I want to create something like this. And I'll take 5 minutes to just stare at it and digest it, and then I'll close the window, and then I'll start working.
Okay.
And then I'll work, and I'll try to just work from memory of the reference rather than putting a side by side. Because if I do a side by side, I get really bogged down in kind of like, well, that lighting is like this, and my lighting was like that. Instead of just using my eye and trying to make the piece I'm working on better, based on like my own, work.
Sure.
I'm trying to make it match exactly.
Sure.
So the fun thing that happens is like I'll finish the piece and then I'll forget that I had a reference, and I'll pull the reference up and I'm like, well, that's totally different.
And I like that.
And it's really cool, like, because usually I'll arrive at a place where I'm happy with the piece, or I'm happy with the project I'm working on, whatever it is, and I'm like, this is great. And then I look at the reference, I'm like, oh, I actually took that and moved it, into my own world, and that's very satisfying.
And not with AI, but with I do the opposite of that with when it comes to things like textures or lighting. I do the opposite. Chad Ashley taught me this, and I do it on every project now. It's like, if you're trying to, let's say you're trying to build, I don't know, a brick wall or something, right? And you want a brick wall to look like something. To not have a reference in front of you to have the reference in front of you is advantageous because, say you have PureRef. I don't know if you use PureRef, but I use it religiously.
I love PureRef.
I programmed it to have all the same shortcuts as Cinema 4D.
Oh, wow.
When it comes to like grouping and hitting the buttons to show all and move around and scroll and everything. Because I realized that Chad was right. He was like, if you don't have that reference up of something that you're actually fully going for, not the AI stuff, but bring up that brick texture and put it right there, because you'll realize that if you aren't looking at something, and this is less from an artistic perspective, coming again from my technical perspective, I'll realize, oh, I didn't make that brick wall look correct at all. Like that's not even the right ratio of what the brick is supposed to look like. So that has helped me in that way. But I think that your method is great when it comes to AI, because you don't want to aspire to look like the AI that much, because then you're not creating anything new for the AI to suck in and take your work, right?
Yeah, I just think that there's a magic that happens, when you're not too focused on the outcome. Like you have a place where you're going, but obviously, like if there is some particular thing, like what is glass, what is ice supposed to look like in glass, and then I like take some cubes and I put them inside a cylinder and I throw a spec texture on it, and I'm like, this doesn't look right. And then I really have to like figure out like how does this index of refraction work with the ice and the water, and and to like really like dial it in, you really need reference for stuff like that. But I guess the benefit of working for yourself is that you get to explore all of those happy accidents, the serendipity of like I made a mistake and I really like what happened.
Yeah. Are there any projects that in particular you want to show off or anything? I mean, I do have your website up. I don't know if there's anything in particular you'd like to show that isn't under
I
NDA
have something
or something.
I'd really love to show that's a little different.
You have what?
Sorry, I have something that I'd really love to show that I think is a little different from what people expect from my work. I'm a big fan, and I've always been a big fan of main title designs. And I did one. I did a passion project for Brave New World. So I created all with Octane and Cinema and KitPash main title sequence for Brave New and a reimagined Brave New World.
Nice.
I love Brave New World.
And so I really enjoy this type of look. By the way, in title sequences, I don't know how you describe it. It's not that it's not 3D, but there's some 2D-ishness to it in some shots. Sometimes, like I think maybe the shot that you had at the beginning, I really don't know how to describe it. Almost like it's kind of like that. It's not 2D, but it's like that. It's like that right there with the stacks. There's almost like layers to it. I love that.
Yeah, it's almost graphical. I think a lot of my I think I was definitely influenced by the kind of like Swiss design, like mid-century. Really, really graphic, flat stuff. That was kind of the stuff that really lit a fire under me when I was learning design. Like just what could be accomplished with simple shapes and balance and contrast,
silhouettes,
and how you can communicate that way.
Yeah. And your NFL stuff and your football stuff. You know, Matt and I have done a lot of sports graphics as well. I'm sure we've been asked to emulate you.
Yeah.
Lots of EA stuff. You know, that's a lot of fun. That, you know, a lot of it almost depending on the year. Like I feel like they go through these like phases with the NFL and EA and everybody, where it's like, you know, 3D classic, you know, close-ups of things, and then they go back to kind of like a 2.5D or a 2D style and back to a 3D. But sometimes it almost feels like it takes almost an architectural mind at times to build some of this stuff. You know, like this here, for example, is a classic example of something I feel like I've been asked to do many times, which is, you know, those really cool close-up textures, some kind of premium textures, industrial, you know, cloth, metal. Sometimes there's a lot of there's a lot of close-ups of things with textures and you know,
things assembling into logos.
Yes. Yes. Trusses and cloth patterns and
metal.
Lights and things like that. A lot of things that it's really nice to have Grayscale Gorilla for now, because it's like, here, yes, more. That's it. It's just a really fun thing to do, because sports graphics can be very abstract, you know?
Yeah.
I
like it. I like working, you know, I think there's so much fun. There's so much fun stuff to play with in there, because it's, you know, when you get down to it, sports is just, you know, adults playing games, and it's like, okay, like that's, you know, let's just like have fun. You know, it doesn't have to be serious, you know, like, yes, it's a huge business, and it, you know, it has a huge audience, but people just want to see, you know, they want to see, you know, they want to see this kind of high energy, you know, very, very cleanly done, you know, good production work. But I think you're right about like the phases it goes through, because for sure, like, you know, I think the NFL right now is in a phase where it's gotten very simplified and clean again, and I really, really like where it's going now. We use a lot of this kind of just concrete texture and simple lines, clean everything, and there's a lot of really beautiful work being done, especially in the NFL, but in the sports world in general.
Yeah. And it looks great. It's real clean. Personally, the only problem I have with it is that I love to do 3D more than I love to do 2D. I would stay in Cinema 4D all day if I could, and I've had to do a lot more 2D lately. But yeah, you're right.
I will purposely go over to C4D if I know I can do it faster in C4D than I can in like 2D After Effects.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have
and I think just that little touch of 3D that you can get, like, you can basically do a 2D design and animation, but you do it in 3D and you get just like those subtle shadows that you can't get in 2D, and like just these little moments where you know, you get something extra in it, and I think I really like that.
I saw somebody.
Octane's really good at that.
Very, and I saw something. I wish I remembered who did this. It just came across my feed the other day. It was a bunch of Windows error messages stacking up on top of each other in just a giant mess. And I was just looking at it. I was like, what am I noticing about this? And I'm like, it's absolutely not 2D. Like they took it into 3D and just did the littlest bit of 3D with this to get that, you know, kind of diffuse shadow and everything. I was like, that's what it is. It's 3D. Yeah.
You get that tiny bit of like bounce light.
A little bit of ambient occlusion.
GI.
Ambient occlusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Like, you know, you have a red square, and then like next to a white wall, and there's just like this almost imperceptible bounce of red, and it's just like Octane's really, really good at that, and I think it's something that, you know, if you know how to harness it right, it's really beautiful.
Yeah. Did you happen to go to the sports graphics conference last week? Did you in was it St. Louis? I know a few
I did
people
not.
were up there. Yeah. Do you ever work with Eric Say, or I'm trying to figure out. I'm sure we know some people in the industry, but
Oh, for sure. Yeah, right now, I last year I was working with Too Fresh Creative.
yep.
And I know that there was a
Thomas.
dude, and now I can't remember his name, who
Thomas?
works with that. Yes, Thomas.
Yeah.
And that I met at camp who works with them.
Yeah.
So that was one of the agencies I was working through.
He's in
NFL.
our Halo thread with us. So we've been making fun lately and saying like, Too Fresh, Too Furious, 3 Fresh, 3 Furious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good, really, really good people over there. But I've been in LA working, since like 2011. I've worked at the NFL,
Wow.
and that's it. It's a great crew, and it's pretty tight knit. And there's not a lot of people that I think like branch out into the Mograph community that much. But I've worked at like let's see, like I was working at Famous Group when I first moved here, and then I was over at Emotion, doing theatrical stuff. I've done work at Imaginary Forces. I've done work with Elastic. I've done work with Troika. All
Nice.
great crews, really great people. Where else did I go? A place called Ant Farm. That was a cool spot. Yeah, just little gigs here and there. But yeah, mostly NFL. A lot of Famous Group. I've done some work at a place called Zoic. That was a cool little job. Yeah, so so you can see some of my older stuff, but it's it's still
Looks
relevant.
good though. Yeah.
Still looks good. Yeah.
You go back far enough, you can see the progression of the styles too, right?
Yeah.
That we were talking about. This stuff is great. I don't know if there's anything else you want to show in particular, but your site is simply enough, joshpierce.net, if people want to check that
there's
out.
if you go to the boards there, we could look at some NFL stuff.
There we go.
Yeah, go to that first boards one.
Yeah.
This is cool. I really enjoyed these little. So we did these like Army Men last year.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to get in there and do this stuff. So we did these for each of the teams. This is the Commanders. We did like an Army theme, and my Philadelphia Eagles in the Art Museum.
I like this style too of like complicated 3D, but like with very simple textures. Like you've got here, and that can almost apply to like the types of title sequences we were just talking about as well. You
We
see
got
a
New
lot
Orleans.
Yeah.
We got some Buccaneers. This is the other one I like. Colorado.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, we have to describe it.
Kansas City.
I forgot to tell you before the show. 99% of our audience listens on iTunes, so
Oh, okay.
we'll be a little descriptive. But yeah, like this one here. This it's a ship. But again, complicated, 3D with more simple textures, one color, or variations of one color.
Yeah, like this last frame where he's with the Viking ship and the shields are there. There's nice detail in the models, but yeah, the colors are all very simple. So it creates this, going back to my roots, this Swiss style.
Yeah.
Of just creating negative space in your scene, and then dropping, the relevant communication into that open pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And accents of one or two colors too. That's great. Kansas barbecue.
Dig it.
There you go.
Yeah. So everything was very themed. All of those were a lot of fun, and I think we're gonna get a chance to work on a few more of those in the coming year. They give me a lot of fun stuff to keep me occupied.
Anything? I mean, I know you told us some of this stuff coming up. Anything we're going to see soon online? Where would we see it? Instagram, your website?
Yeah.
Mograph.com.
Yeah, I mean, however you guys want to, post content of mine, happy to share it. Yeah, I'm gonna keep grinding on art. Yeah, like I said, I have two pretty big projects that are cooking in the background right now. So yeah, look for announcements on my Instagram, which is just J Pierce. That's the main spot. You'll always see everything there.
187,000 followers, man. That's incredible. That's really incredible.
Yeah, Instagram's an interesting thing because I feel like it grew and then it slowed down a lot. So I hope that I hope that the people who follow me actually see my content. I don't know the algorithm, but I also hear that that's going to change and that in the future. Because essentially what happened was it was too easy to get a lot of followers, and there was too many bots and everything. So they've kind of like scaled everything back, and now they want but they want the people who have an audience to be able to see the content that's being created. So they're working on it, and I do think it's gonna get a little better soon.
Stuzor's been dealing with that a lot lately on Instagram.
Such a good guy.
Yeah,
he is. Yeah, and it's like it's. He even tried creating a whole nother account and then went back on that, and it's like
it just thinks it's AI.
I mean,
and he's like, no, it's not. I swear I'm posting every day, like,
Yeah. I think I don't know that maybe the problem is they trained the AI so much on his work.
Yeah, I was thinking
and that's the work that's being like produced and stuff like that it just looks like it.
I was thinking that. I was like, well, they probably used all of his work, so
yeah,
that sucks. And it sucks because on this and TikTok you post stuff and it'll come back and it will say this is not eligible for FYP or for whatever because it's not original. What are you talking about? It's not original. I literally just made this and spent all this time, and then you appeal it, and then they're like, no, sorry.
Yeah, it's because it's not even a person. You're not even talking to a person.
Yeah, that sucks. But yeah.
I think that I think that it's going to change. Something will change. And I think that there will be another new avenue for artists. We had a really good moment with social media there for a little while, and I think that everything is always shifting, and I think something will be different soon. I hope.
Yeah, and we talked about social a lot last week, but I purposely, the stuff that I'm posting on one of my accounts right now, I want non-followers to see it. But I heard that when you want followers to see it, you leave the hashtags off completely. And then it will be... Now, I don't know if that's changed. Of course, this is a month ago I heard that. Maybe it's different now. But if you want to do a post and say you want mostly followers to see it, don't hashtag it. Which is interesting. Yeah. Because the hashtags are trying to find those people that aren't following you, which I get.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. It's there's some magic in it.
Yeah.
Like when I have something really original and profound to post, like it usually does really well. But when I know that it's just like, oh, I'm just going to put this image up and see, like, because I have to post today. It's like it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know how it knows.
Right. Yeah.
Are you doing dailies?
No, not anymore.
Okay, not anymore.
But I feel like I have the opposite problem. Of course, this isn't me posting for an audience. This is me posting trying to find an audience. But I feel like I'll post something that I really think is great, that I really think is just people are going to love this, and it gets nothing. And then I post something stupid and it gets 100,000 views, and I'm like, what is it? We'll post
like the Blender TikTok you posted.
Yes, it has 45,000
50,000 views on that.
45,000 views, and it was just something stupid I did on a Friday afternoon. But nobody wants to hear about a in-depth discussion about AI. It's like okay.
So funny.
But it's like you post a funny meme about when you discover your kid is doing Blender.
And you're a
It's like,
C4D
so funny.
guy, and
Hey, people love memes. Okay.
that's apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. Yeah, I've had that experience. Like I have a piece that's pinned to the top of my Instagram, and it's like it's got more likes than any other post that I've ever posted. It's 50,000 likes or something.
It's just a meme.
That would be great. I have another story about me after this, but I was leaving to go on a trip with my friends, and I was trying to get my daily done, and I did it in like 15 minutes, and I just like threw it online, and it turned out to be the piece that everybody wanted. Everybody
That's
saw.
so funny.
It sold as NFTs. Like
Wow.
it was my most popular and successful piece ever, according to, how it was consumed. But yeah, it was like a 15-minute, like just throw some crap on there and then just go. I have to leave. I'm going on a trip. Meme story. There's another image posted there that has now become a meme, and it's a floating person, purple on green.
Okay.
And people send this to me all the time. It's just got like random stuff on it. Like this has become a meme. Like this image has become a meme now.
Is it the meditation
really
one, or which one?
Yeah,
is it?
Fluorescence.
It's an image of a floating. It's called Fluorescence. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's an image of a purple floating person in a green forest with purple flowers
Oh
around.
yeah, I think I found it. Okay, here we go here. So
Sure.
it's this, but people put memes on top of it. Is that?
Yes. People will
Oh, that's
write
funny.
stuff
I
like,
feel like I've seen it now.
yeah, and like the first one I saw was, I don't have a car. Can you pick me up?
That's
It's
funny.
like when people want to say like, I am more powerful than anyone on earth.
That's funny.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Yeah, that's funny. I've probably seen it on TikTok too. It makes
Yes,
its
you've
way
probably
back and
definitely seen it on
forth.
TikTok.
That's funny.
See,
It's-
now I'm going to be looking for it.
Yeah, and people send it to me. They're like, "Isn't this your work?" And I'm like, "Yep, that's my work." And they're like, "Do you care?" I'm like, "Nope, don't care."
Yeah, it's like when you see a certain kind of car for the first time, or you buy a new car and then you see that car
Yeah,
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a funny thing. Like, people ask me, like, do you care that people are making this into a meme? And I'm like, no, I don't care at all. I think it's great.
Right. Right.
Like to have, like, I want it to be more of a meme. Like, I want it to be everywhere.
Yeah.
I want everybody to know what that image is, and like, oh, that's your art.
Yeah.
Sadly, someone already owns it, so you can't sell it.
Ah.
Yeah.
Somebody bought that NFT and
yeah.
paid a good price for it. So
Yeah.
I'm
It's
happy.
up to them
I'm
to
happy either
pursue
way.
it then, right? They can take
Yeah,
care of
I know,
that.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
whoever owns that piece, who I don't know that person personally, should be out there like, hey, this is a meme now, and like, trying to
It would
resell
be
it.
really
Yeah.
funny to buy a piece from a well-known artist and then just turn it into a meme.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
They
do it
did. I don't even know if that's
specifically
what they're
to
doing.
make
Yeah.
it into a meme.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
true.
That'd be funny,
I mean, you got to do something with your old crypto punks, right?
right?
Right. Yeah. So make it a meme, and
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, man.
We hope that we'll see you at Camp Mograph.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. That is what are the dates? The 12th.
Oh my gosh.
Something.
16th,
I should
something
know
like
this.
that. Yeah. I'd have to look at
Yeah,
the calendar.
September.
Our dates are always so different, like because we come in earlier.
Right.
It's the 12th through the 16th. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
So-
we've already talked about your social, but just in case, if people want to find you online, you got
Mhm.
Jay Pierce on Insta. You got your website, which is joshpierce.net. Any other places? You got the.
I got a
X.
Twitter. It's jpierce_art. It's jpierceart on Twitter.
Cool.
That's pretty much it. You can also Google me and find me
Easy
all
enough.
over Pinterest.
Yep.
Nice. I mean, that's how I pulled up all your stuff today. Just a quick Google. It's easy.
Yeah.
Got to make sure I
That's
spell
kind
your
of
name
a cool.
right.
That's kind of a cool thing. No, I just want to say thank you guys. Like I said at the beginning, I've looked up to, all of the leaders in the Mograph community for a long time, and it just feels really cool to connect and talk and just chat about all the things that I know we're all mutually interested in.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
You are welcome back anytime.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
We will not have a show next week, and probably not the week after, because I will just be getting back from SIGGRAPH. But if you are going to SIGGRAPH, please come out and say hi. Come to the Maxon booth. There's going to be an EJ Brewery meetup on Tuesday.
Yep.
Let's hang out. There's going to be all these great presenters, a lot of presenters from Colorado. So hopefully we'll see you all there, and we'll catch you all in a few weeks. Got some great
and I know
episodes coming up, too.
Jen Van Horn just created the Colorado Motion
Yes.
meetup group on the Mograph site. So if you're in Colorado, go onto the Mograph site, join that group. They'll give you some updates on stuff, especially stuff coming up for the SIGGRAPH Mograph meeting.
Yeah. All right. We're going to get out of here. Until next time, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
Have a good one.
Later, yo.
It's pretty good, I guess. Introducing Mograph TV from Mograph.com, a free motion graphics and animation channel streaming your favorite content and favorite artists 24/7. Mograph TV features motion graphics tutorials, talks, tips, inspiration, and replays of popular live shows. We offer something for all levels of designer, from introductory tutorials to high-level breakdowns and everything in between.
That track looks great to me.
Mograph TV features software like Cinema 4D, After Effects, Unreal Engine,
What up?
third-party plugins, and other 2D and 3D software. We also feature live motion events, short-form clips, crypto art, and even a little photo and video editing. Learn from the people that inspire you most, and stay up to date on all the latest industry news, announcements, and community events. You'll also see exclusive offers only available by watching. With 3 8-hour blocks each day, you'll be sure to catch everything, no matter what your time zone. Keep it on as a companion to your workday and learn something new. Meet a friend, watch a demo, catch a classic tutorial, or even find new inspiration.
That's a British word?
A lot of things are British words.
Yes, good luck with all your projects.
Mograph TV, television for the design community 24/7.